Hey everybody, it's Claire back with another art journal video, more Art by Marlene inspiration. So this is the new journal that she's just released and it is called the artist size. So she's got, I think there's 3 in the collection of journals. I really like these. I think the fact that you can remove the pages means that they're so versatile, because doing cutout pages is definitely easier on a page that you can remove from your journals, less fiddly. So I'm going to be using some of the black and white collage paper from the new release. You can see there's just lovely sort of texty, scripty elements on them. I just generally tend to just pull a bit out and then use it. And whatever's left over, I tuck back inside the pad so that I'm not wasting any. Because when you get to the point where you've got lots of little bits left over, you can, of course, then make some collage boards where you just stick all the pieces onto a piece together and create a new piece of collage paper. So I'm using the Art by Marlene matte medium. I like this quite a lot, except it can sometimes leave a bit of a sticky residue behind, which means that your pages can stick together a little bit. So just be a bit mindful of that. And that's when it's dry, it can be a bit like that. So it's okay for that first layer, but probably wouldn't use it if I'm adding elements onto my already painted page as my final bit, because I think you'd leave that sticky residue on top of your page. So I'm sticking these collage pieces straight on. So it's quite a big size. I think it's probably a little bit bigger than A4 size. But it's a nice size for some of the paper elements that are in the new pad are that little bit bigger, so that you can work on this size of journal page quite easily, and you don't have to be afraid of all that space. Adding collage to your first layer is a great way to get rid of that blank page, as you all know. It kind of just cuts down on that fear of, like, goodness, what do I do with all this space? So I'm just gluing it in, then I'm going to give it a quick dry. And then I'm going to move on to selecting the die cut element that I want to use on my page. So just flipping through the book, you can see there are slightly larger than the previous releases for elements that you can use. There's all sorts of things, some really quirky animals, which I'm going to have some fun with another time. I'm going to use one of these ginormous ladies' faces. I don't mean that in a bad way, like I just mean it's quite a large piece to work with. But eek, I'm going to cut her hair off and put some Claire style hair on there. So I'm just carefully trimming round and I'm going to remove most of it. So it's going to look a little bit odd, but I kind of want to add my own touch to this. So this is what I said in a previous video that I released, where you can customize these pieces. You don't have to use them just as they are. Although I like it and I think it's lovely, I just want to have a bit of fun playing with adding some of my own hair onto this head. So using very large scissors, I am cutting off the hair. So now onto the background. There's no gesso on my page, but as you know, there is some of the matte medium on there as already. I'm going to use Art by Marlene paints. This is a really nice paper. It's kind of a little bit watercolory, but you can see, because I've added no gesso, it's grabbing onto that paint that I've added first. So I'm going to go in with a wet brush to move it around a bit quicker. So that's a little hint I would give you there. If you want your paints to move around on a non-gessoed surface, I would definitely go with wet brush rather than a dry brush. Also, where the matte medium is, that is kind of creating a bit of a prep layer on that surface, so the paint is going to cling differently. It doesn't bother me at all, because I think it all adds to the interest on the background. If that bothers you, then I would suggest that the first layer you go in with is a white gesso or a clear gesso, and then you know that you've prepped your surface and it will all respond in the same way. Like I say, for me, I'm not bothered. I quite like the fact that I've got darks and lights of those oranges. but you know, it's all personal preference. So now I'm going in with pinks. I'm keeping these nice warm colours to start off with. Some of my favourite colours to use. I think without thinking, I automatically reach for these. They're just warm and happy colours. And I'm just being careful not to mix too much because I don't want to make any funky colours here. And although the pink and orange would make a sort of nicer, I don't know, like a richer colour, I don't particularly want too much of that. So this is hexagon, I can't remember what it's called, hexagon something. It's one of the new stencils, and I'm actually stenciling through it this time, using one of the colours I've already used. I think it's hexagon stars or something like that. Yeah. So by not introducing any new colours here, I'm just keeping this background nice and cohesive, using colours for the stenciling that I've already popped down. Okay, so now I am sticking her in. Lots of Art by Marlene sticky glue. Let's get that on. Don't forget, it's got quite a quick drying time, so pop it down, check it's where you want it, give it a little wiggle around, but don't leave it too long because it does glue very quickly. So because I want to add in some hair and I don't want the colour to interfere with what's on the background, I'm going in with some of the Marlene's white gesso. And I'm just going to kind of map out where I want that hair to go. Using this white gesso is just going to push that background away, which means it won't show through any colour that I put on top. But if it does, it'll just be there kind of in the background a little bit more than the rest of the background. Does that make sense? I hope so. It sounded like I said background a lot of times there, but you know, anyway. So the thing with the gesso is you can layer it as well, as you can with the colours too. Put your first layer in, dry it, and then go in again with another layer, and that way you'll get a more opaque colour. So you can see I've just gone with a slightly different vibe for her hair, just not quite as long and flowy as the one that was originally there, and I'm just painting it in using the gesso. So once that was dry, I was able to go in with my colour, and you can see that's laying down really nicely. It's not showing through too much of that background detail. So it's going to give a nice, vibrant colour. Now, of course, remembering that I am literally just playing here. I'm not looking for realism. I mean, you know, no. I just want to go in and add some highlights to the hair, some lighter bits, just adding a bit more interest, because that flat purple, it's nice, but it's not very exciting. And nobody's hair is all one colour. So I'm just adding some different colours in here, and I'm keeping the brush strokes in the direction that the hair would be moving. And like I say, I'm going for fun. I'm not going for realism. Adding a little bit of black stenciling, just lightly, just starts to add a little bit more interest to that background. And then I decided I wanted to give her some funky glasses. So I've grabbed a cookie cutter and I'm going to pop that on to my page like that using black. Then I'm going to grab a brush and just pull that paint out a little bit so it's a little bit thicker. So I've given her some cool round glasses. That was super easy to do. So again, just thinking about ways that you can change up these collage images and make them truly your own. Whilst there is nothing at all wrong with using them exactly as they are, sometimes it's nice to just have a little play and do something a bit different. Decided I would add a couple of hearts to her glasses, because who wouldn't like glasses like that? And some little flowers to go in her hair. So just leafing through the book that's just been released, there are lots and lots and lots of little elements in there that you can kind of pair together like this to create your own fun, interesting elements for your page. So that's all going to get stuck down, of course, using the sticky glue. I'm now coming in with the brand new stamp. I love this stamp. I love the marks and the alphabet on it. It's brilliant. I'm going to go in with white now. So I'm using my Posca pen. There was a comment not long ago from somebody who was horrified that I was using a Posca pen to do this. Really, it's not about money for me with this. It's about time saving and not faffing about watering down my paint. And you know, there was a comment in reply to that saying, you know, if it's not used, it's wasted. Well, I actually agree with that. So, you know, and I have so many pens and things that I'd rather use them and have to replace them. And for me, this is a nice quick way to use that paint on my stamps. Again, don't forget to clean your stamps really well after you've used paint on them. And now I'm just going to grab a quote from the sticky quote book that came from Marlene's last previous release. And here, be you. Couldn't be more perfect really for this page, because I took an image that was completely different and made it into my own. I've also added some white lines onto the hair and some little dots, and then I'm just going to add a little bit more journaling around the edge. Be you and do it with confidence. Not always easy, but what I'm striving for. Yes. Okay. Then, of course, you can pop it back in your journal. Look at that. Nice and easy. All nice and protected. And that was lovely to work on. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. I hope you've enjoyed watching how I've changed up the collage element to make this fun, quirky lady with her fabulous purple hair. Yeah, thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again soon.